Our speaker is Karen Wu from California State University, Los Angeles, United States. Today, she presents her talk on the topic, Paler Isn't Prettier. Little Evidence of Colorism Among Asian American Speed Daters. Karen Wu is Associate Professor of Psychology at California State University, Los Angeles. Her research focuses on culture and interpersonal relationships, including topics such as intergroup relations, human mate selection, and relationship dynamics across cultures. Today, she will give a talk on the topic, Paler Isn't Prettier. Little Evidence of Colorism Among Asian American Speed Daters.
Hello everyone, my name is Karen Wu, and the title of my presentation is Paler Isn't Prettier. Little Evidence of Colorism Among Asian American Speed Daters. So first of all, what is colorism? Colorism is prejudice or discrimination based on skin color. We see that oftentimes light skin is associated with positive qualities like civility, rationality, beauty, and superiority, whereas dark skin is often associated with negative qualities like savagery, irrationality, ugliness, and inferiority. We can even see this in our depictions of cartoon animals. Here you can see that Scar is dark-skinned and evil, whereas Mufasa is light-skinned and good and beautiful. Now, why does colorism matter? Colorism matters because lighter skin predicts positive outcomes like greater income, education, and desirability as a dating partner. However, most research examines colorism among Blacks and Latinxes. We don't know much about Asian Americans in comparison. In terms of colorism in Asia, we do see that in Asian countries colonized by Europe or the US, European features, including white skin, are seen as beautiful. In East Asia, which hasn't been as influenced by Europe and the US historically, light skin has been traditionally associated with purity and high SES, especially for women. And you can see this within the Chinese proverb that states, "A single whiteness can cover 3 kinds of ugliness." You can also see this within all these ads that target women and try to get them to buy products to make their skin white. But colorism could be different among Asian Americans. That said, studies do find that lighter skin predicts college education and wealth among Asian Americans. However, researchers did not account for national origin, which can also affect both light skin or darker skin, as well as college education and wealth. Small studies indicate that generational status also needs to be accounted for. First generation, but not second generation Chinese American women in one study preferred lighter skin. And of most relevance to our study, Juno Kai et al. Looked at colorism and dating among Asian Americans through 2000match.com dating profiles. And they found that among Asian Americans, darker skin predicted greater willingness to date Blacks and Latinxes and lower willingness to date other Asians. They explained that perhaps Asian Americans with darker skin may have more shared experiences with Blacks and Latinxes due to mutual experiences of discrimination. They may also face more romantic rejection from whites and Asians. However, as with the prior studies, the researchers did not account for national origin or generational status. National origin may be especially important as different Asian American groups do differ in their pan-Asian identity. So Southeast Asian Americans often distance themselves from pan-Asian identity, instead identifying with Blacks or Latinxes. But Filipino Americans may be especially different from other Asian American groups due to differences such as in religion, so being mostly Catholic, and language, so having a lot of similarities with Spanish. Filipino Americans may call themselves things like the Blackest Asians, Chinese Mexicans, a Spanish Asian, whatever thing. And they often stereotype Asian Americans as being East Asian and uncool. Finally, they're more likely to intermarry with Hispanics compared to other Asian American groups. So our current study looked at the role of colorism in Asian Americans' mate preferences while controlling for ethnicity and generational status. We collected, through speed dating, both self-reported and behavior-based preferences. And this is important because what you say you want may differ from what you really want. We did predict that colorism would be present, so Asian Americans will prefer partners with lighter skin, especially if they are foreign-born. Meanwhile, darker skin will predict greater preferences for darker skin, for Southeast Asians, and for other non-white groups, while predicting lower preferences for East Asians. Our participants were 262 single Asian Americans who were romantically interested in the other gender. Half were women. They were all born in the US or moved here before age 16. They were 18 to 30 years old, and each speed dating session was separated by age group. They were recruited through various means, including the human subjects pool, flyers, recruitment booths, and social media. They were, on average, 21 years old, and for the ethnicity, most were Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Filipino, or Taiwanese. For generational status, most were second generation, and next 21% were 1.5 generation, meaning that they moved here from another country before they were 13. 5% were first generation, and 3% were third plus. The procedure included a pre-event questionnaire where they indicated their demographics and what they want in a partner. Then at the speed dating session, they went on 3-minute speed dates, which included an interaction questionnaire after each date. Photos were taken of them after the session. For measures, we had skin tone. So 8 trained research assistants coded headshots of the participants through the below visual guide. So you can see it ranges from 1 equals very light to 10 equals very dark. The mean skin tone was close to the midpoint at 4.28, and inter-rater reliability was excellent at 0.95. We also had stated ethnic preferences in dating various groups, which I'll show you later. That went from 1 to 7. Second date offers. Would you like to make a second date offer to the person you just interacted with? Participants were informed beforehand that if you both say yes to each other, then you do get each other as a match, and you get each other's contact information. And then they rated each speed dating partner on their mate desirability overall as a short-term partner and as a long-term partner from 1 to 11, with 11 being extremely desirable. The analyses. So for revealed preferences, we used linear mixed models since the unit of analysis was speed date. Independent variables were partner skin tone or ethnicity. The dependent variables were date offer and mate desirability. And moderators were actors' gender, skin tone, and generational status. The covariate was actors' ethnicity. For stated preferences, we used linear regression since the unit of analysis was participant. So then the independent variable was the participant's skin tone. The dependent variable was their stated preference for dating various groups. And then the moderator was gender, and the covariates were ethnicity and generational status. To control for type 1 error due to multiple testing, we used the Benjamini-Hochberg procedure with a false discovery rate of 20%. So we found that there wasn't support overall for colorism. Asian Americans did not prefer partners with lighter skin. However, we found partial support for hypothesis 2, that foreign-born Asian Americans would more greatly prefer lighter skin. So this was supported for women only and for mate desirability only, not date offers. So here's an example of what we found. We did find the same pattern for all 3 measures of mate desirability, but this is looking at overall mate desirability on the y-axis. On the x-axis, we have light-skinned partner on the left-hand side, dark-skinned partner on the right-hand side. And then with the different lines, we have First of all, at the top, men, foreign-born men are denoted with the black diamonds. U.S.-born men are the white diamonds. And you will see that, first of all, men rate their partners more positively. That's why they're here at the top. But both U.S.-born and foreign-born men prefer partners with darker skin. This was especially the case for foreign-born men, so not what we expected at all. For women who are down here, for U.S.-born men, women, they had slight preferences for a darker skinned partner, but for foreign-born women, this did support our hypothesis. They preferred the light-skinned partner, not the dark-skinned partner. But overall, this was surprising because we thought that having light skin would be more important for women, but the men liked darker skin and only foreign-born women liked lighter skin. Other results. So with generational status and ethnicity controlled, we actually didn't support the role of skin darkness in predicting preferences for darker skin, Southeast Asians, other non-white groups, or for East Asians. So let's take a look at these results. So on the left-hand side, we have correlations for skin darkness and people's stated preference for all these different groups. On the right-hand side, these are the findings with covariates, which were generational status, ethnicity, and gender. So taking a quick look at this, you can see we actually did support the hypothesis with the zero-order correlations. So people had greater stated preferences for Southeast Asians, including Vietnamese, Filipinos, Thai, and this was before the covariates were added. They also preferred non-white groups like Blacks, Mexicans, South Americans, Middle Easterners, Persians, and Native Americans. But after including covariates, these associations no longer were present, so skin tone was no longer related to stated racial preferences. However, there were notable findings regarding generational status and ethnicity. So with generational status, US-born participants were darker than foreign-born participants, and they had greater preferences for dating Southeast Asians and Mexicans. For ethnicity, Filipinos were darker than Vietnamese, who were darker than Chinese or Koreans, and compared to Chinese, Filipinos had greater preference for dating Mexicans. In conclusion, skin tone generally does not shape one's dating preferences or mate value among Asian Americans, and instead we found that ethnicity and generational status are more important. These are important variables to control for when looking at colorism. It is possible that among Asian Americans, darker skin is associated with acculturation. That's what we found. And then status. And then historically, you do see that racial categorization of Asian Americans was dependent on racialized features aside from skin tone, like their eyes and nose. One example is of Takao Ozawa, who is a Japanese immigrant who argued for U.S. citizenship in 1922, based on the premise that his skin color was light enough to be white, but he was told he was not white because racial categorization is based on other features aside from skin tone. So in conclusion, among Asian Americans, privilege maybe isn't conferred by skin tone. Limitations in future directions are to test the role of other racialized features like the eyes and the nose, to recruit a more diverse sample, including maybe more people who are first gen or third gen plus, include a broader age group, including older people, and broadening the geographic location. Our area was quite diverse and by the beach, so that could have impacted things. And then examining other domains, such as the workplace and education, where it's possible that colorism could play a role. And these are my references. Thank you very much, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
So also not sure if she would be online for questions, for answering questions.